Council of February 3rd, 2025. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. Would ask that you silence your technology as we begin the meeting so that we're not disturbed. I've asked our city attorney, Mr. Lunsford, to lead us in the pledge. If you would, please stand for the invocation. Let us pray. Most gracious and loving God, we come to you in prayer this evening, thanking for another day of life and all the many joys and blessings we enjoy. We seek your blessings now in this meeting and the business of our city before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. Help us, Father, to always be mindful of those in our community that are less fortunate, who may be hurting or struggling with their mental health or homelessness, or are sick and need your healing hand. Most of all, Father, thank you for your love and grace that you so freely give. For it is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Council, first order of business is the approval of the agenda. You do have an amended agenda, which I think was just the closed session that was added to the agenda. So, Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion we accept the agenda as is, along with the closed session.
Okay, Mr. White has made a motion to adopt the agenda with the amended addition of the closed session. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Our first order of business is we have a special presentation tonight from our Foothills Farmers Market Impact Report from Mary Cornwell, who is our Executive Director. Ms. Cornwell, glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Foothills Farmers Market, we are starting on our 17th year this year, which is actually a really long time for farmers markets to be able to get along and just make an economic impact for the farmers and the vendors, and then and for the shoppers. And so we're really proud of this report that we have. We do great things every year, and we're just glad to be able to share what's been going on in 2024. And as you know, the Foothills Farmers Market provides easy access to food produced in Cleveland County and the surrounding 50 miles. And we're proud of to showcase the family-owned farms and small businesses in our region. Our board chair, Sherry Green, is here tonight, and she's also one of our farmers that's been since the beginning of organizing Foothills Farmers Market. And Brandon Roop is here, and he's the treasurer of our board. And so glad to have him. But we have several goals.
You trust him with your money, huh?
Yeah. Yes, that we do.
Kidding. Please proceed.
And we have goals within our mission, and those are for farms to thrive and farmers to prosper, and everyone to have access to high-quality, nutritious, locally grown food, community that values the economic, health, environmental, and social benefits of local food, and that farmers markets strengthen, nourish, and inspire the community. And our impact report will show the work of our farmers, vendors, board members, staff, community groups, sponsors, North Carolina Cooperative Extension, city and county officials, and our beloved visitors and supporters of the market. So what you have in front of you is our impact report. And so some of the numbers just have to be estimated. But our local impact is that we are supporting 50 plus members of our market. 20 of those are growers right here locally. 12 are producers. That could be beef, poultry, pork, eggs. 10 value added. That could be Willis Farms in Bellwood is an example. They grow sorghum and corn, and then they grind it themselves for grits and cornmeal, and to make sorghum syrup, and then they can sell that at the market. And then we also support the arts. We have 10 artisans that are members of our market. And so a rough estimate, but I would say it's a conservative estimate, that Foothills Farmers Market has $250,000 in economic impact every year. We have over 90,000 visitors to the market. We are going on our 4th year of our winter market, to where we're open year-round every Saturday. And so I think shoppers are pleased when they come on a Saturday morning that you can still find lots of locally grown. You can find locally grown produce just last Saturday. So we're in February now, and so our growers are adding a variety of produce that can kind of weather the cool season. And then when summer comes, it's all of our favorites of tomatoes, corn, cucumber, squash, and okra. And so we just seem to be growing in our variety. But we also have some really good programs that go on. We've given out $8,000 in pop tokens for children who come and shop at the market. They're allowed to take the token and go and spend it with produce vendors. And so that money is going directly into our local farmers' pocket, and the kids are having a great experience shopping at the market and learning to appreciate locally grown produce, and then maybe introduce more vegetables into their diet as well. And that is funded by a grant from the Dover Foundation, and then a large partner of that from year to year is Cleveland County Farm Bureau. And then as well, we have $6,100 in SNAP EBT is used at the market. And with that, we give an extra $10 for every customer on the Saturday that they can purchase extra produce if they'd like. And so we were able to give out $1,900 for our SNAP EBT shoppers. And then we also started a new program just this year of Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So it's for seniors of lower income, and we were able to give to them $7,600, which in turn goes back to our farmers. And then Foothills Farmers Market, along with Healthy Together Cleveland County, was able to add $835 extra bonus for those seniors. And we hope that program will grow more every summer. Then we also have several sponsors that all of this would not be, we would not be able to have as great of an impact without our sponsors. And then on the back of the impact report is just a few fun numbers. We've had 51 Saturday markets this year, 20 markets at Kings Mountain. We were able to have 12 weekday markets at the hospital, Atrium Hospital, and then 18 Wednesday markets in Shelby at the Pavilion. We were also, with the help of North Carolina Arts Council grant, showcased 70 musicians this year, and so we are paying the musicians, and so we're able to pay the $3,600 in support of these local musicians at our market. Also, we have a food share, and so we were able to give over $2,000 in food donations and have a place for 10 community organizations to be represented at the market. And then this is our first year that we have worked with the VFW to be able to have a shared commercial kitchen available to our vendors, and this can be a place where they can make value-added products. And so we're really excited about this year, and lots of these things will continue and hopefully increase each year.
Thank you, Ms. Cornwell. That was an excellent report. And I must say, I think our farmers market is something I'm most proud of that y'all do such a great job on. And I can tell you a number of visitors when they come to town, that's one of the places that people like to go. And I hear nothing but good things about people say our farmers market is far better than communities much larger than Shelby. And so y'all are doing a great job, and it's a real asset to our town and to our entire county, for sure.
Well, thank you, and we feel that appreciation from the city. And without your support, we wouldn't be able to do as many things as we do. So we greatly appreciate it.
My office is right across from it, and it's amazing. When it's 20 degrees in the winter, they're out there.
Yeah,
It really is amazing.
They're diehards.
yeah,
That's great.
it's all year round now. That's
Yeah.
great.
We've got really great loyal shoppers.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
Sure does. Well, thank you for that. It's a great report.
Thank you.
There are, I had recently heard that there were other communities that actually came
Yeah.
to study our farmers market and use it as a model because it was, such a shining example. So you guys
Very-
are
very
doing a
successful.
really great job.
Yeah, very good. Thanks again. All right, our next item is our City of Shelby Fire and Rescue Department Community Risk Assessment. Chief Hunt, I believe you are up.
You got your hourglass?
He doesn't have a PowerPoint tonight, so
not.
maybe
Yeah, so
Okay.
there was not a TV here, so that's good news for everybody. And Mayor, thank you again, and it's my pleasure to bring before the City Council tonight the adoption of the Fire and Rescue Department's Community Risk Assessment Standards of Cover, also for short called the CRA-SOC documents, how we refer to it in the accreditation world. So as you may recall, the Fire and Rescue Department was awarded its third accreditation award in the summer of 2024 after a successful peer site team visit the previous spring. By way of review, components of accreditation include the completion of a self-assessment manual of over 240 performance indicators, development of a strategic plan, and a completion of a community risk assessment standards of cover document, of which you are considering tonight. Evaluation of documents and on-site verifications is completed by a peer site team for action to be taken on by the commission. The CRA-SOC document actually is two documents really in one, and it is divided into that community risk assessment section, which relates back to community demographics, identification and classification of public safety risk, development of mitigation and response measures for the agency in relation to the community. The standards of cover section looks at evaluation of fire and rescue resources, so the resources that the department has at its disposal, measurement of actual performance against stated benchmarks and goals, and a plan for continuous improvements. That's what the document actually does. That's before you tonight. What you're going to help us do tonight is to comply with performance indicator in Category 2, Assessment and Planning, 2D8, which directs that an elected body of the agency approve its CRA-SOC, which is what we're going to ask you to do this evening. You've each been provided a copy of the document for your review, and a resolution is included in the consent agenda for your approval, and I will gladly take any questions that you may have at this time.
Any questions for Chief Hunt? I did look through it. It's a very impressive document. I appreciate what you're doing with
It
that.
looks good.
Thank
It
you.
does.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. All right, next item is our consent agenda, and I will read these out for you. It's number 1 is approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of January 6th. Number 2 is adoption of a budget ordinance amendment for the City of Shelby's Carolina Threadshell project. Number 3 is approval of a resolution authorizing the selection of Magnolia River based on qualification for engineering and planning services for the natural gas system. Number 4 is approval of a resolution approving the City of Shelby Fire and Rescue Department's community risk assessment. Number 5 is approval of special event applications. There are 3 listed there: Sibley Stolt Wedding, Shining in Shelby 2025, and the Uptown Block Party. Number 6 is the management reports, and that is all of our consent agenda items. Chair will entertain a motion to
I
adopt.
make a motion that we adopt the
Have-
consent agenda as proposed.
Have a motion from Ms. Arth to adopt the consent agenda as proposed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. We're down to unfinished business. Number 1 is Willow Estates Underground Electric Project. Mr. Howell, are you going to introduce this? Or
Mr. Yarborough is going to address this.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this first item on here tonight includes ordinance number 4-2025 and resolution number 7-2025. The budget ordinance amendment that has been prepared would appropriate funds from the electric fund balance to allow for the construction contract related to the underground installation on the Willow Estates subdivision. And then the resolution that has been prepared would authorize the award of the construction contract for that same project on the underground installation. As a reminder, Willow Estates is a residential subdivision that's located between Wyke Road and East Marion Street, and consists of 78 single-family homes and 168 townhomes. The developer began grading on that project in November of 2023 and are anticipating being ready for electric in June of this year. With these projects, there's several steps to them. So during the planning and permitting phase, if the city's going to be the electric provider there, we complete a design. In this case, it was with Progressive Engineering. From there, we will determine what materials are needed. In this case, we ordered materials in January of 2024. With the long lead time, those orders have to be placed early. And then as the project gets to the point that it's ready for construction, we advertise and get a construction contract in place. So those are sort of the 3 steps that most of these developments will go through. And in December of 2025, the city held a public bid opening where there were bids ranging from $313,000 to $436,000. In this case, Huss Boring was the low bidder, and their bid amount, like I said, was $313,781.50. City staff and Progressive Engineering have reviewed the bid and recommend approval of ordinance number 4-2025 and resolution number 7-2025 that would appropriate the funding for this project and then award the construction contract to Huss Boring. Are there any questions on this item?
I don't know, just jumped out at me on some of these items on the 3 different bids, the wildly different numbers from one company to the next. Pole units, 860 for one company and 8,000 for the other company.
Right.
Why are they so far off?
Bid strategy.
So with these, the unit cost in there, and this is a unit cost contract, meaning that however many of those items are installed during the project is what they're paid for, based on what the plans include. So contractors have the ability to put different amounts on different line items. It's awarded based on the total of all of it, so after it's multiplied out. But contractors do have the ability to put different amounts on different line items, but in the end, it is awarded based on the total amount. And so at times you will see vastly different numbers on specific line
Are
items.
they just guessing? I mean,
No,
It's a bid.
based on
It's a-
it. Some of it's done in-house, so some contractors may perform something themselves. Some of them may use a subcontractor on
Okay.
it. There's, numerous factors go into it of where those individual
Not
line items
uncommon.
come from.
one of them, $49,000 for, one of the line items, and then the other company was $121,000. It was just so wildly different. I was just
And
Curious, but-
largely on one of those that we noticed, it was on boring. And so one of the contractors does boring in-house.
Yep.
And the others are subbing that out. And so there's a
Okay.
cost savings right there, which many
Makes
times
sense.
makes a difference in that final bid.
Thank you for that explanation.
Any other
All right.
questions?
Any other questions, Mr. Yarborough?
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yarborough. The staff has prepared ordinance 4-2025 and resolution 7-2025. Chair will entertain a motion, and you can, it is allowed to be made in one motion for both.
That was my question.
Just be clear for the clerk,
Yeah,
for
right.
the record.
Right. Someone want to make the motion?
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 4-2025 and resolution 7-2025.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hopper to adopt ordinance number 4-2025 and resolution number 7-2025. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next is adoption of fiscal year 2024-25 budget ordinance amendment number 5. Mr. Yarborough, you're going to bring this to us as well, all right?
So the item you have before you now, like you said, is ordinance number 5-2025. And this is a budget ordinance amendment that would appropriate $304,501 from the electric fund balance for two different projects. The first project there is related to the Cleveland County Justice Center. And with that, the materials were ordered in fiscal year 24, and payment in the amount of $234,501 was made from the county to the city for those materials, and those were made in fiscal year 24.
So they have, the county has paid for
They,
it?
they did pay that in May of 24, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, go ahead,
And
excuse
so this appropriation is simply moving those funds from the fund balance that they paid into the current budget year when the purchase order was placed to, make that purchase order revenue source be what was intended instead of coming from the existing operating budget.
Okay.
The second item within this ordinance is appropriation of $70,000, and that is for the purchase of two breakers for the peak shaving generator that is owned by the city of Shelby and located behind Walmart. Breaker on that recently failed, and to get that generator operational, we need to order a breaker and then a spare, and those are at $35,000 apiece. We had planned on that to be in the CIP of the next operating budget, so the 2025 operating budget, or sorry, the 2026 operating budget. But to get that generator operational, need to do this as a budget appropriation instead of waiting on the funding budget cycle. And so staff recommends approval of ordinance number 5-2025 to City Council. Any questions on that item?
Questions from Mr. Yarborough? All right, staff has prepared this ordinance. Chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 5-2025.
All right, I heard Ms. Arth first.
Sorry.
Dr. Weber.
You're
All
next.
right, I have a motion from Ms. Arth to adopt ordinance number 5-2025. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote, please say aye. Excuse me.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Continue on, Mr. Yarborough.
So the third item under unfinished business is resolution number 8-2025. And this resolution would award the construction contract for the Cleveland County Justice Center electric distribution line project. As mentioned earlier, the county is paying for these relocations. And with that, the bids received on this work ranged from $249,002.65 to $486,000. Huss Boring was the low bidder on this once again. One thing to note on this contract is that it is a contingent contract, and so following approval of the resolution, the city will invoice the county for the low bid amount of $249,002.65, and upon receipt of that funding, will execute the contract with Huss Boring. Anticipation of construction on the electric aspects beginning in April of 2025 and should be completed in approximately 8 months. So are there any questions on this item?
So we're gonna approve it contingent on the county paying the money. Is that what I heard?
Yes, sir.
Everybody clear on that? All right, Chair will entertain a motion.
I move, Mr. Mayor, that we adopt resolution number 8/2025.
I have a motion from Dr. Weber that we adopt resolution number 8-2025. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. You still up, all right, Mr. Yarborough?
So the fourth item under unfinished business is Resolution 9-2025. And if approved, this resolution will award a construction contract for a stormwater system replacement project on the 6.9 acre parcel that the city owns that is commonly known as the old Shelby Middle School ball fields there on West Sumter Street beside Cora. This project would replace 450 linear feet of failing 24-inch corrugated metal pipe. If you look out across that field, you can currently see somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or so large sinkholes. With those and the vicinity of those to the Carolina Harmony Trail, the future dog park, obviously that's something that has to be addressed. So with that, Odom Engineering has completed a design, and there was a bid opening held in December. At that bid opening, six bids were received, ranging from $141,707.50 to $236,857, with Lawndale Sand being the low bidder. City staff and the engineer have reviewed the bids and recommend approval of Resolution 9-2025 to award the construction contract to Lawndale Sand for that low bid amount. If approved, construction of this project should start in about 45 days, and then the contract time frame is 60 days thereafter. Any questions on this item?
I'm curious, how long has Lawndale Sand LLC been in existence?
Long time.
Long time.
They're
Long
well established,
Spangler,
Yeah.
Okay,
Long
Carl.
time.
probably in the neighborhood of 15 years.
okay.
I'd have thought
This
even
is
longer.
another one where the bids are so wildly off, like Phil Soil, that Lawndale Sand, right? Phil Soil. Okay, so $450 versus, $2,200. It's very interesting how.
Right, and a lot of those, if you look at them, the quantities are fairly low. And so the impact on the final bid is not very significant.
Gotcha.
And so once again, those contractors just putting different amounts where they feel it fits best.
Gotcha.
Being a contractor, a lot of people bid these things, they've got more work than they know what to do with, and they'll bid it high. If they get it, fine, they won't.
And that's a good point. And all of the bids that we have brought before you tonight are very good bids
Good.
from contractors that are looking for work. At one time, not that long ago, a lot of the bids were high where just there was too much work.
That's good.
Well, you answered my next question, so thank you. I was
Any
going to
other
ask
questions?
if they were
All
all.
right, any other questions, Mr.
No,
Yarborough?
I was just going to ask if they were all, good, solid bids, and I appreciate you already answered that. Thank you.
Need a motion?
All right, yeah,
All right, I make a motion, we approve the resolution to award the contract for the construction of West Sumter Street, Old Ball Field, Stormwater Project to Lawndale Sand, resolution number 9/2025.
have a motion from Mr. White to adopt resolution number 9-2025. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next is approval of a resolution approving a financing agreement authorized by North Carolina General Statute 168.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Howell?
Council, you have before you Resolution 10, 2025. Ms. Beam has procured quotes for the financing that was approved as part of the city's annual operating budget for the acquisition of capital rolling stock. The rolling stock list is annually provided to council during the budget process and then approved at that time. At that time, that authorizes, council also adopts a reimbursement resolution which allows you to proceed with the purchase of equipment and the ordering of equipment, and then subsequently we seek bids for the financing, which allows us then to reimburse ourselves for that. The city has for many, many years used a 59-month finance mechanism for police cars and backhoes and garbage trucks and street sweepers and you name it, pickup trucks. We do that from a cash flow standpoint in order to provide the city more liquidity throughout the year. And so Ms. Beam annually, the finance director, will solicit bids from banks for that financing. It's 59 months because anything over, anything 5 years or over must go to the LGC for approval. It's a common tool that's used by local governments and one that has served us well in terms of purchasing equipment. Ms. Beam has provided the bids within the packet, and if I can see this, this year's principal amount is $2,221,019. The previous fiscal year it's slightly less than last year's. The recommended bidder was Bank of America at a rate of 3.8473. You can see below I've provided the past 3 years' bids, and you can see that interest rates are on the rise, but only slightly this year from last year. Be glad to answer any questions you may have at this time. Ms. Beam, there she is.
Oh, I was gonna say.
She can also answer any questions you may have. But the recommendation is to approve Resolution 10-2025 at this time.
Anybody, Mr. Hopper, do you have a question? You want to make a motion? You ready to make a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 10-2025.
Have a motion from Mr. Hopper to adopt Resolution 10-2025. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right, we have no new business, and we're down to the city manager's report. Mr. Howe.
I will be brief and just point a few things out to you. I have provided you with a copy of the 2025-26 North Carolina League of Municipalities legislative goals that have been adopted by the governing board for the League of Municipalities. I think you'll find it to be fairly concise and reflecting the needs of probably 99.9% of the municipalities in the state. The league has done a good job of boiling these goals down to something that's manageable. This, at some point in time in the past, these have been a booklet, which made it really, really hard to get our legislative message across about the things that are important to North Carolina's small towns as well as the big cities. So provide that to you. That has just come out recently and been approved. Also would just remind you at this time that if you intend to attend the town state dinner, you need to let Bree know that as soon as possible, as well as North Carolina City Vision. That's the League of Municipalities, what we used to call the annual conference. It's being held in Greenville this year. I would encourage you, if you have the time, to register and go.
Greenville, North Carolina.
Yes,
It's a long
it's a
way.
long-
Yeah, it
It's-
is a long
It is a
run.
long, long way. It is beneficial to, it is mainly attended by elected officials. There are some administrative staff that attends, but it is largely elected officials that come together, and there are lots of general sessions that are learning potential for council members and mayors that talk about subjects that you deal with on a regular basis. So I would encourage you to do that if you possibly can. Also, just real quickly, I'll mention to you that we have received a response back from Cleveland County. As you will recall, Robert Johnson, a residential developer who owns a large parcel off of Joe's Lake Road, kind of across from Pinnacle School, had requested the city to voluntarily annex that property. And as you know, North Carolina statutes require approval of a municipality that's closer. If there's another municipality closer to that property, the intending annexing city must get the permission from that municipality. In this case, Patterson Springs declined to give the city permission. The developer came back to the city and requested that his property be included in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. His aim was to utilize the city's UDO because it allows for more density, which obviously allows for a greater opportunity for profitability from a development standpoint. Unfortunately, under the North Carolina statutes now, we must get permission from Cleveland County to extend that, even at the property owner's request. So we did make that request. We have gotten a response back from the county in the affirmative, since it does only affect Mr. Johnson and he has requested it. The city attorney will be working with Cleveland County to try to get this process moving. It does require a 30-day notice of public hearing. That notice only goes to the property owner who is being included in the city's ETJ. So once we have all the details worked out on that, we'll bring this back to council for consideration. And then lastly, I have asked Chief Frazier to provide a regular report. We had some conversation about crime statistics at your retreat. And I think, as is the case with many things, there oftentimes is a great deal of misinformation out in the community, and in particular on social media regarding facts. And sometimes facts get lost in the dust when somebody gets on their soapbox. So I've asked Chief Frazier to prepare kind of just a regular report that gives us kind of a year-to-date of where we are from a crime reporting standpoint. We comply with the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting procedures, and I will be providing that to you on a regular basis so that you can see where we stand. I also think it's important for you to have a summary of those major crimes that we have, and I'll also ask him to do that as well. And you know, it's a challenging thing for our police department. Crime happens in Shelby just as it does in our neighboring communities, as well as the big cities in our vicinity. But we want people to have the facts about what really happens. We try to report these things with integrity and follow the standards that uniform crime reporting requires. And we want to be completely transparent with the public because we want to have their trust and we want them to know what's happening in their community. So I'll be providing that to you. You heard these statistics at the retreat. I'll start doing that probably within the next month or two.
Thank you so much. I think that'll be beneficial, and you know, proper education for everybody is, you know, proper actual facts are really really helpful.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is good to get the information. I think I'll be interested to know what's I know violent crime is sort of the worst. There's different levels. Am I correct? It's sort of like there's
the Part 1 crimes.
Part 1 is the most violent.
You have you know, the violent crime, and then you have property crime. Those are the two sections of the Part 1 crimes.
Right.
And so we have to report those annually. We report them based upon the guidelines that are provided by the FBI in uniform crime reporting. So it's a consistent way of reporting it year in and year out. And so we'll share that information for you regularly, and we'll likely follow up and post that also on the city's website with possibly a link to social media as well.
Thank you. I was just going to ask that.
Yes.
All right. Very good.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Howell.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's a good report. We're down to council announcements and remarks, and I have a question, and I'm going to let it. Pardon?
Oh, never mind.
Justice Place, and I don't know who to direct this to, maybe Ben. Justice Place, or in front of the current law enforcement center, is that going? Are they, as a part of that work, going to fix that road that's kind of
Curvy.
kind of undulating there. It's sort of like they did kind of a quick job to kind of make it go straight. You know what I'm talking about, how that road is.
Yes, there was some right-of-way dedication on the property there in front of the old Star site, and that did allow it to be shifted over to line up better. And so that will be completed with the site improvements on there. Obviously, right now, they're in the building phase.
Right.
But when it goes to the site, yeah, there will be improvements on that area.
But there's a kind of a dip in it that's like, it's kind of got a weird geometry to the street itself, if that makes sense.
Right, no, it's all set and has a dip, and both of those are to be addressed through that.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you'll recall Justice Place looped through
Yes.
to Patton.
Yes.
And that little section that you're talking about is Juan Place.
Right, one place, yep. Gotcha. Well, that's something I have been thinking about. All right, we're down to council announcements or remarks. I will just go around the horn here. Bullock, you got anything?
Awesome.
You're good?
Good.
Good. Everybody good?
I
Everybody good?
continue to get questions about the line that's down on South Washington Street, AT&T. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been down for months, and I don't know what to tell them.
You're talking about on Washington
Is
Street,
it
South
still
one?
blocking that woman's driveway?
Yeah, it's across the street and down for about 2 blocks.
That does seem like something that needs to be addressed.
I keep that here, gotta get a lot of people.
We'll be happy to reach out to AT&T. The city wouldn't necessarily, well, we certainly won't touch their lines.
No.
But we'll certainly reach out to them to see if they have a timetable as to when they're going to do work. I don't think that's probably the worst of the ones I've seen, but there certainly are others that are hanging and lower than they probably need to be.
Rick, who actually owns the poles?
Well,
We own
it's an interesting question, Mr. Weber.
It is.
There are some poles that we own that AT&T and Spectrum and others co-locate on. There are some poles that are owned by AT&T that we are located on from an electric standpoint. So in most cases, they're our poles, but there are some situations where we're co-located on AT&T poles and vice versa.
Just curious.
If they have a yellow number,
It's
typically a
ours.
3 or 4
Yep.
digit number, it probably is our pole.
That's what I've been telling people.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Howell, I know you and I have talked about this some, but I wanted to kind of everybody to hear this. The pickup of stumps that are in the city street right-of-ways, that will be picked up if it's within the city street right-of-way. Is that correct?
Not on
Yes,
the
sir.
street.
That is what we have been told. And just to clarify, and you'll recall this, is that North Carolina Emergency Management had pre-positioned contracts in place for debris removal. That was really to save time in the event of Helene or other situations. In this case, the county initiated the contract with the contractor, one of the pre-positioned contractors, and the city chose, rather than bid it ourselves and go through that process, join that contract. So we've been working with the contractor. It's a challenging thing, as there was a huge amount of debris, even in our community and out in the county. And so this long story short is we have been working as closely as we can with them. Sometimes they stay on schedule and the dates that they
Slip.
tell us are true and hold, and sometimes they're not, and sometimes that's no fault of their own. But we have been told that the end of February, first part of March is when stumps will be picked up, and obviously they'll pick those up last. They can't be handled the same way. They're much heavier and likely will not be ground in a tub grinder. They may just be hauled off.
Right.
So that's what we've been told.
And
We
you
hope
have
that holds.
confidence, you have confidence that they'll do what they say they're
It's
going to do?
within the contract.
Okay. That's-
And Mr. Black has dutifully made a exhaustive list, I think,
Yeah,
of those stumps that need to be picked up. So we're going to do our best to make sure the contractor performs as promised.
Good, great. Thank you for
Was
that.
was that a good enough long answer?
Good answer.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to, as long as we have confidence that the this contractor, I guess working for the county, is going to do what he says. So,
And we worked very well with the
Okay.
county and will continue to do so.
great. All right.
Good
we are-
news.
We are down, we do have a closed session on our agenda. This is North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3. It says to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. Mr. Lunsford, is this sufficient reason to go into closed session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
All right, we have, on the advice of our attorney, we can go into closed session.
I make a motion, we go out of regular session into closed session.
We have a motion from Mr. White that we go out of open session into closed session. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.